Is there something, a part of everyday life that you avoid? Maybe it began as something small, but has grown into more of a problem over time. Maybe you've lost confidence to do something that you used to do without effort. 18 years ago, I fell off a treadmill. I just slid right off the back. I had never had a problem with treadmills before, but yeah, I fell pretty hard. It wasn't a really serious incident. I didn't break anything. I didn't sprain anything. I did get pretty bruised up. But most critically, my confidence became bruised. And I lost a sense of ease that I used to feel. I seemed to lose the ability to just do things without getting caught up in my own thoughts. And a fear began to creep in to my life. I began to look for things that could be fall hazards, cracks in an uneven sidewalk, um, small things that had been discarded on the floor, toys or shoes that were carelessly set aside, stairs. I feel like it can be the small things in life that can trip us up, um, emotionally as well as physically. I have a friend who years ago stepped off a curb. That's all. She just stepped off a curb. And somehow something went wrong with that small action that she had done thousands of times. And she tore something in her knee and had to have surgery. And it laid her up for a while. A curb. And just like small actions can sort of reach out and get us, I feel like small thoughts can do the same. They start out as just this little hesitation, and over time, I feel like these little fledgling concerns can grow into straight up high level fears. And we begin to feel hesitant. I'm not talking about serious things, earthquakes, tigers, clowns with knives who live in sewers. I don't encounter tigers often. I'm guessing you don't either. There are things, of course, in life that we should be cautious about, serious threatening forces. This is not what I'm addressing. I'm talking about concerns about parts of everyday life, smallish concerns that somehow get away from us and gather momentum. And before we know it, we just straight up avoid doing something. Maybe you've avoided doing something, making a call, sending a text, having a conversation, setting a boundary, going to the dentist or any doctor. Maybe you're hesitant to go to a gym, or you've stopped getting in the pool. Driving, maybe you've started doing these things less and less, and then even less, because it was easier to put the thing off than to deal with the anxiety that you felt when faced with the thought of doing that thing. So for me, I began to avoid stairs, and thus began a bad relationship with a hairy monster that I think we call avoidance behavior. Now, I'm not schooled in psychology. I am not qualified to diagnose anyone or anything at any time or place. Truth. But I've read enough about my own bad situation to believe that I think that's what we're dealing with here. I began to approach every step with the idea that I could fall, and that a fall would be devastating, especially for an older, aging, overweight woman. That fall off a treadmill could have been devastating. Any fall can be. But I allowed this to grow to unreasonable proportions. That's what happens with fear, I think. I began to see stairs as my nemesis, as this grab bag of calamities, potential calamities, a broken femur, a sprained wrist or ankle. And since stairs had become frightening to me, I began to opt for other solutions. I began taking elevators. Most buildings have elevators, even two-story buildings sometimes have them. And this, I think, is how avoidance behavior presents. These worry loops about what might happen begin to influence our choices, the choices that we make. And this is the danger, right? A thought nuisance grows disproportionately. We begin avoiding things and our life starts changing in little ways. For me, it was stairs, whatever form it took for you. But for me, an unforeseen consequence developed, though I probably should have anticipated this, but I became physically less able to scale stairs the more I avoided them. So not only was I emotionally inhibited at the thought of stairs, I was physically weaker when it came to climbing stairs and more afraid when it came to descending stairs. In addition to entirely avoiding stairs, I also began to modify how I handled stairs when climbing them, when ascending or descending them. So for instance, I began to allow myself to stop, put one foot on a step, stop, have both feet on that same step before I moved on to a next one, and then have both feet on that step before I moved to the next one. I began to go upstairs and downstairs more slowly, more hesitantly, and for a reason I can't really explain to you, I allowed the bottom step to become really frightening. And so I began to allow myself to stop entirely when I reached the bottom step and hesitate for a period before I then went onto the floor or ground. I'm not even sure why, but it became my habit, and now it's just what I do all the time. I also began to rely heavily on railings. I used to just use railings as an occasional assist, but I began now to always keep a hand on the railing, and then that developed into a situation where if two railings were available, I used both. And in situations where one railing and a wall were accessible, I would keep my hand on the railing and touch the wall. I don't know, for reassurance. But these things became habits. Fast forward, I reached a point where stairs that didn't offer railings, those make me nervous. Bleachers can be the worst. I get full top level scared when faced with bleachers. This is not a way I want to live. I began to do some reading on fear and bravery and avoidance. And I came across a quote. Rudyard Kipling. I can't say I've read a lot of Rudyard Kipling, but I found this quote. It is not enough to stare up the steps. We must step up the stairs. And that really resonated with me. Is there something you began merely feeling hesitation about, but began to dodge more and more over time out of fear, hesitation, lack of confidence, an activity, a task, a conversation? the things we allow ourselves to quit, I think these become bigger in scope to us somehow over time. And we lose our ability to feel that we can do these things. And they seem to become more difficult in more ways than one, emotionally, physically, socially. I allowed my confidence to erode, to atrophy, and my muscles haven't fared very well either. Again, I'm no expert, and I can't speak to professional directives, but I do know that this is not a way I want to live. And so I decided to finally just face this, to face stairs. I've decided to focus on the fact that strength comes from stress. Now, I'm not looking for an undue amount of stress. I'm not looking to take any unnecessary risks or to go gung-ho crazy. But I am looking to kick this limiting perspective and behavior to the curb. I've begun to purposefully climb stairs, to seek out different staircases in different settings and climb them, sometimes for no real purpose other than to just practice this and try to gain strength, physical strength, and to gain my confidence back. I'm still afraid, in all honesty. It frightens me. But I figure maybe little by little that will lessen. But I'm going to try, and I'm going to keep trying. I have to believe that if I make myself keep going up and down stairs, over time, I know I'll get stronger physically. I have to believe I'll get stronger emotionally too in regard to this issue. But here's a thought. Maybe we do this together. Maybe you have a thing. I, as illustrated in this video, definitely have a thing that we avoid, a thing that we have allowed to grow big in our thoughts. What if we approach this together? This first thing, and then maybe others. My whole intention of creating this YouTube channel is to try to create a community where we can come and experience support, a warm, kind corner of the internet where we can be there for each other. So comment down below what your thing is, because odds are someone else who will read that comment may feel the same way about whatever it is that you sort of have come to dread. And even if it isn't that particular thing, there's probably still support that can be offered. So, have I conquered my fear completely? No, I'm right in the middle of it. But I've begun to face it with a railing or a friend to help. As I say, I'm going to be over here climbing the stairway to heaven. I mean, they talk about a stairway to heaven, right? Not an elevator to heaven. Is there an elevator to heaven? Thank you for watching. I'm Norma, and this is Savoring Bravery. I hope this video has offered you some encouragement. If you're into that sort of thing, I'd love it if you'd watch another video as well. Thank you.